I just completed an update on what I'm doing in my Society of Idea Collectors journal. Now I want to do an update of what I am doing in the journal that I'm going to use for the My Creative Year project. My Creative Year is a Facebook group started by Gina, Ahrens, Cindy Seinzetter, Ann Williamson, Lisa Swank, Ian Jackson. They're all teachers in that group. And I participated last year in my year 2017, which is the same group of people. So of course I'm going to do My Creative Year. If you watched my Friday Night Live from last Friday, you will have seen where I painted this huge sheet of watercolor paper, a gold, and you can't tell it too much. You could tell it if you did a side-by-side comparison, but I put some of that magenta paint over it, and it really did make it a really pretty rose gold. And I really do like that. Then I folded my journal cover in the same manner as the folder for the Society of Idea Collectors, and I'm using the same basic journal construction where I have the folder pocket here where I'll keep things in here. I'll probably put a binder clip or some sort of a closure here, but that's to come. I am using watercolor paper inside for the pages, and I am using a composition book over on the back cover. It really does go like, I have it in backwards here. It goes like this. So that forms that same trifold, and I love it that the people who are watching my Society of Idea Collectors are calling that a Meri Midori. I would have never thought of that. So I have another Meri Midori for My Creative Year project. Same concept. It's all done in Midori style where the pages are loose leaf. That really works for me, and it folds up again. But what I really want to show you is what I am doing with a segment of My Creative Year that Gina Ahrens is doing. And that is, she is doing sketches, daily sketches of a daily word. And she challenges us to do sketches. Well, I'm already doing sketches on my little mini roll, mini scroll, adding machine tape roll. I've missed a couple days, but I've been so busy getting these journals together, I will get them caught up. I have to tell you, Maisie is shouting at me. She's going, "Where are you? Come back." And she doesn't know it yet, but I won't be there tomorrow either. Or in this case, it would be today when this video goes up. This video is going to go up in place of the mini scroll journal. But don't tell Maisie. She is going to, she's going to mouth off at me when I get back, but okay. But, well, we'll continue Maisie's story in the mini scroll. I want to continue with this because I want to talk about what I'm going to do on the cover here. And I've already told the gals that I want to use that technique of Shannon Green's. I don't know where Shannon Green got the technique, but I imagine it was from somebody else on YouTube or the internet. But it's using paint on wax paper, and you lay it face down on the journal and then pull it up, and it leaves this really fun texture. And then I'm going to cut a stencil and put over that. Wait till you see the stencil. I've already showed a few people what I'm going to do, but Oh, I'm not done. You just wait till I finish with this cover, because that will have to be in another video. I just want to give you a hint that I am very shortly going to be working on this cover. I'm going to have fun with it. But what I really wanted to show you in this video is what I am doing with Gina's project of the daily words and the daily sketches. I am going to mind map the daily words. I've already started with a few of them. Today would be the 10th, I believe. Let me check here how far. Yes, when you see this video, I will have to do the mind map for the 10th. I have spent the last couple days drawing up these skeleton mind maps, and I've got the who, what, when, where, why, and how, and then my added ones of who else, what if. I've added a couple more. Who else, what else, what if, whatever, where else, why not? So I'm asking myself all these questions about these words, and these words are simple words. You wouldn't think that it would be so fun to mind map a simple word, but let me show you what I'm discovering in a minute. I have made up all these templates, and I've done it clear through to the end of January. I think Gina intends for this to be a year-long project. If it is only a month-long project, I will continue this on my own for a year-long project because I'm having so much fun with it. I will go out to like dictionary.com and pick their word for a day or word for a day somewhere out there on the internet and continue mind mapping them. But what I thought I would do, I'm going to use this format until the end of January, my skeleton format. But I can already tell from the ones that I've already done that I'm already wanting to change this format. But since I have this all set out, I'm going to use this, and now between now and the end of January, I'm going to see how it changes and what changes I want to make. Then I'm going to make a template, something like this, and I'm going to take it to the library and photocopy it so that I won't have to sit here and draw out 31 templates. And I'll just copy them off on legal-sized paper, and there you go. I could probably do double-sided copies and get 4 of them done on a sheet. So that's my intention. Now let me show you the words that I already have mind mapped. I don't have them all mind mapped between January 1 and January 10 because I started like on January 8. And so I had to backtrack to mind map some, and I haven't got all those completed yet, but I've made a good start. And what I intend on doing is I've got January 9th mind map, and then for January 9 until 31, I'll do a daily mind map, and then as I can come back and fill in the ones I missed, I will. But on January 1st, it was vessel, and I just, I did not try to do something, what do you say, unique and creative. I just said, I'm going to go out and look up the word vessel. And I found the basic definitions of like a holder. A vessel is something that can hold typically a liquid. It doesn't have to be a liquid, but you think of a cup or a vase or some sort of a big vat, a boat or a blood vessel. Those were the 3 basic definitions that I found, and then I just picked one, and I picked a very common one, the boat. And the little sketch here that I did in the center is nothing earth-shattering. It's a big old boat with 3 smokestacks, if you could see it up close. Then I wrote the word. I have this circle. I wrote the word in there, vessel. Now I am going to come back. I don't have my highlighter with me, but the only color that I'm going to put on this page, as I'm thinking now, is that I'm going to highlight this word in yellow so that the focus will be on the word. Now, this particular mind map, I was discussing it in our group of artists who do our video conferencing, our Zoomers, our Zoom chat. Zoom is a video conferencing software, and periodically, which is very frequently periodically, a group of us get together just whenever someone wants to meet or at our appointed time, and we chat about art. We share ideas. We sit and we do projects together, and I can do this with them while sitting at home at my desk, and I have more fun with that. Well, this mind map was really built on that Zoom chat. So this is kind of like groupthink here. So I have a scenario here. I got the definition, the origin. I put a quote, a verse down here when I started out because they were talking about a human being a vessel. So I put that verse down there just for me. And then later I added a scenario. And the scenario here is kind of like, what direction would I go in if I were going to do an art project off of this? And I have travelers on a ship. And then I put the entire small town voyage. That really happened in my what else later on. But then I got to thinking about it being a spaceship, paint this boat. What would happen if they painted the boat gold and took it out on the sea? Wouldn't that be fun? And I thought, well, why stop at gold? What if they do Zentangle on their boat and sail it to another country? I mean, you could just go wild with this stuff. But then I have all my notes here. I'm not going to read everything to you. I just want to show you what I'm doing. So this kind of was a groupthink project. One of the gals in our Zoom chat was telling us about in the 70s how some of the Vietnamese people came over in their boats, which were in quotes vessels, and they were in conflict with the shrimp farmers down in the southern states, Louisiana and Texas. So that was kind of an interesting story that I would have never have gleaned unless I was sharing this in our Zoom chat. So this is kind of a group think mind map. Now, will I use it to do an art page? I could think of a lot of fun art pages I could do off of just this mind map, just as it is. And this is not, it looks involved, but this is not an intricate mind map. This is really basic. The concepts on here are basic, but I could see doing a really fun art journal page on it. Will I? Well, I'll talk about that a little bit later. Then my second mind map was the word express. And I tell you, I've been getting quotes. That's the other thing. I don't have a quote from Muscle, but I spent the better part of this afternoon going out and finding a quote for each one of these words, a quote that appealed to me, that said something to me. This is a quote by Francis Bacon, who's a philosopher, and he said, "The best part of beauty is that which no picture can express." And from that quote, I got on to, here's this frustrated painter trying to reach for a color that does not exist to express something that he knows it's there. He wants to get it down on canvas. He wants to communicate it to his viewers, but he just can't create that color because, you know, our color spectrum is 32 million, 16 million plus colors in the color spectrum, just of what we can get on our in our world today. Who knows what colors we can't see? And he wants to reach that color, but he's frustrated because he can't. And he paints these paintings, and then I'm going off into another tangent where he starts painting these paintings and he shows them in a gallery. Now, this is kind of a storytelling mind map of my own. He starts showing these paintings in a gallery, and people start buying them. People start grouping around them, and they're attracted to them, and he can't figure out why. You know, it's a very simple painting of maybe a rock. But there's a competition for them. They start bringing in big bucks for him, and he doesn't know what he's doing. And he is expressing a beauty, which is the best part of beauty that no picture can express. And through his frustration, even though he can't reach that color, there's a beauty out there in his pictures that are attracting people to buy them. And so I'm building this little story. Now that's just the basic of my story. Will I do an art journal page about it? I could. I'm very tempted to. But that's kind of where I left it. And this is how these mind maps, how this simple word express can lead you into really fun, interesting ideas. Muscle, I haven't done anything yet, but I wanted to show this to you in that, of course, I'm learning mind mapping from Dede Willingham, especially mind mapping for art projects, because she stresses it so much in her Society of Idea Collectors. And not only should your mind map relate the who to the topic or to the quote. I don't have a quote here yet, but I've got a quote over here. And the what to the topic or quote, and each question to the topic or quote. There's also, you can relate the why not to the who, the how to the who, the why to the who, the how to the why. You can do all these inner relationships. Now this is kind of, there's a relationship going to the core topic, but on this mind map, there's a relationship of each subtopic to the one adjacent to it. But you could also relate the where to each one of these. So there's just many, many, many different ways to mind map. These are, like I said, these look intricate, they look involved because I have a lot of writing down here, but these are very basic mind maps, and I'm already having fun with them. I cannot imagine doing such a detailed mind map that I have the where related to the core topic and to each one of these, the when to the core topic and to each one of these. I mean, my mind map would be as big as my desktop, and we've already seen that. That's already an unfinished project from 2017. I was having fun doing it. I had a photo. I was mind mapping on my desktop, and I was having a lot of fun with it, but I never got it done because she just kept going and going and going with ideas. Then I wanted to show you this one for sure, because the scenario here is another take on mind mapping. Here, I was telling a story. This was more of a group think, where I had other people contributing to this mind map, kind of involuntary. I was just sharing my fun with this, and they started sharing their ideas, such as the Vietnamese fishermen. So this is more of a group think. This is more of a storytelling scenario. Over here, I got more into a historical biography, more factual mind mapping, more researching, but the word was cold. And the quote I found, before I had any of this around, it looked like this with the word cold. That's all I had. I found a quote. The quote is, "Every man has his secret sorrows, which the world knows not, and oftentimes we call a man cold when he is only sad." Oh my, that quote struck my heart. And who said it? Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Now, I had heard Longfellow's history before, that he was married twice and both of his wives passed away. His first wife died a few months after a miscarriage, and that caused him grief. And then he fell in love with another independently minded woman. Now I'm finding this all out from these facts, and this is what I researched. This is a factual mind map. This isn't anything I'm making up. He fell in love with another lady. He courted her for 7 years before she agreed to marry him. So after he finally gets to marry his second wife, I don't know how long it was into their marriage. I could research that and find out. But his second wife was sealing envelopes, and her dress caught on fire for some reason or another, and she died from the burns because her dress caught on fire. And then at that time, Henry found, heard her screaming and everything, and went in there and tried to put out the flames, but it didn't do any good. And he even threw his body on her to suffocate the flames. And I imagine they eventually got them put out, but she was so badly burned that she passed away from that experience. And here's the really interesting part that I didn't know, is that you see photographs of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, and he has this wonderful, beautiful beard. And the reason he has it is because his face is so scarred from those flames of trying to put out the flames on his wife. That just breaks my heart. Now, I don't know if you can see it too much. Maybe if I hold it up a little bit more. I have a sketch of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow in here. His long hair and his beard and his mustache and his eyes. But just from researching that, the who, what, when, where, why, and how did he deal with his grief after the death of his wives? And actually, reading about it, he actually took a medication, laudanum. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he had a fear of being committed to an asylum because of his grief. He actually had that fear, like, don't commit me, I'm just sad. And I have a feeling that's where this quote comes from. And I would imagine, although I haven't seen any documented evidence of it, that many times in his personal relationships after that happened, he probably seemed cold and unapproachable to people when inwardly he was dealing with sadness and grief. That's just my surmising. And then I got up here to the why not part, and I had written, what would he have done? What would have Henry Wadsworth Longfellow had done if he actually married a third time, fell in love, is madly in love with another woman, and she would have died an untimely death? Would he have made it through? And just reading about his grief, my own personal reaction is, I wonder if he would have. I don't know. I mean, maybe he was inwardly strong enough that he would have, but I can tell you he probably would have had to deal with it big time. So this mind map and what I did here, to me, related to me more historically and factually. This was more of a research, more of a learning about mind map, rather than trying to tell a story or a big imagination thing. So I've done some other mind mapping here. I'm not going to go into it. I will say, here's one where I wrote the scenario was comparison. Life is, the word was life. Life is like a bicycle. You must keep moving. And I had written the little phrase, keep pedaling and marathon. And I have all my other thoughts. This is more of an imagination one, too. It's something you could develop an art journal page off of. Shadow, spine. So you see where I am. I'm going to skip over here to today's, which was animal. And this was a fun one to do. This is more of a factual one, too. I was exploring a superstition because the word was animal. I looked up a quote on the word animal, and I found this quote by Groucho Marx, of all people, and it says, "A black cat crossing your path signifies that the cat is going somewhere. And that got me to thinking about folklore and superstition and where these superstitions come from. And of course, it's a cultural thing, where I wrote cultural. When folklore found that it was cross cultures, you know, a superstition grows when people move from one country to another in another culture. And I did a little research on it, and some of the ways in which people interpreted black cats as being evil omens or bringing bad luck. And in some cultures, black cats are not evil omens. They bring good luck. I think it said in Britain and Japan. So vice versa. It's a superstition that a cat can bring either good luck or bad luck. This poor animal is just an innocent animal. He has no type of control over the luck that comes into your life. We have no type of control over the luck that comes into our life. What makes us think an animal does? A poor little cat. It's just a poor little cat that happens to have black fur. And Groucho Marx says, if that cat crosses your path, the truth is that animal's just going somewhere. And so that got me into this, the way we assign good or bad luck or superstitions off onto other objects or things or animals as a culture. And there's other examples in here. The one that I'm going to read to you, there's several in here that I found was very interesting. But the one that I'm going to read to you was fairly recent, Apollo 13. And you can read about this. The Apollo 13 was officially named STS-13, but they changed it to STS-41C. Well, the crew of Apollo 13 found out, so they developed this logo, and the logo, of all things, had a black cat with the number 13 on it. And they were, in effect, astronauts who were debunking superstition, saying, this is superstition, we don't believe it, we're going to adopt a logo with a black cat and the number 13 on here, and let's just see what happens. Well, Apollo 13 was a successful mission. It landed on Friday the 13th with no incident. That's what my research found. So, you know, not only do I admire Groucho Marx, but also the crew members of Apollo 13 for taking a stand against superstition. And these poor little kitties with black fur, or any other animal that gets tangled up, that we as a culture would tangle up animals in superstitious beliefs. So that was an interesting mind map. Now, did I expect to find that when I started mind mapping animal? No. What led me to it was the quote, and then, of course, the black cat, the superstition, and then I got to thinking, well, how did the superstition develop? And then I got into all this interesting reading. You could do a very fun art journal page about this, just using the Apollo 13 and the black cat and the number 13. You could do your own logo and debunk that superstition. So it is very interesting to do these words. I hope Gina keeps them up. Gina's doing wonderful sketches. I really do like them. I will link to her channel. If she has a playlist for them, I will link to her playlist. I don't know if she has that developed yet, but I am having all sorts of fun. I have not done any art journal pages in here. I do intend to do that. My setup is the same as for the Society of Idea Collectors, in that I can take these out at the end of January and put in February's, and so I can make this very, very, very adjustable. I have the composition book in the back. I can add papers or take them out as I need to through the month. So I just wanted to share with you my progress on My Creative Year journal. And doing the mind mapping, I have to say, is an opportunity for me to work across two projects. The Society of Idea Collectors, where Dede Willingham talks about mind mapping, and Dede mind maps words, and she really got me started on it. And then when Gina started doing the sketches off of the words, it's an opportunity for me in my own personal artistic journey to tie these two projects together and have fun with them. And I really am. So I'll be doing more with the cover of this journal. I'll be doing more mind mapping. I'm going to be doing some art journal pages. There are other projects out there going on, not just art journaling in My Creative Year. I will put a link to that group in my description box below. But it is not just art journaling this year. The people that are hosting this and leading it are doing all sorts of creative projects. Fun with creativity. So thank you for watching and for listening to me chatter about this. And I will see you on the next page.